The Carolina Panthers are only a couple of pieces away from being legitimate Super Bowl contenders. And in this video, I'm going to give you 5 names that the Carolina Panthers should go after this offseason. Welcome to Move the Chains with JJ. I am JJ, obviously. Welcome. If you don't already, make sure to smash the subscribe button, like, comment, share with a friend. Listen, I know we're not always going to agree, so if I say something that you agree or disagree with, or whatever the case may be, drop it down below in the comments. I want to make sure that I'm having the opportunity to interact with all of you guys. Again, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump straight into the video. Now, with the NFL season officially coming to a close, me personally, I don't know how you guys are, but me personally, I have officially began to shift my focus to the free agency window coming up in March. Now, the last Move the Change episode that I did, we discussed what the main priorities for the Carolina Panthers should be this offseason. Now, we didn't necessarily specify if that was going to be in the draft or free agency or whatever the case may be. It was just kind of an overarching view of what the glaring holes on this Carolina Panthers roster currently work. Now, this video, I'm going to highlight 5 names that I believe fill some of those holes and also elevate the Carolina Panthers to another level. Obviously, with what we've seen in the Super Bowl over the past 2 years, pass rush. But again, I don't want to give up too much info right now. Stay tuned for the list. Let's hop right into it. I'm not going to go in any specific order. At the end of the video, I will give you the list in order on how the Carolina Panthers should approach. The first name that we're going to talk about is strong safety Cam Curl from the Los Angeles Rams. Now, I know the Carolina Panthers had a lot of success in the safety market last year with Trevon Moehrig. He was very, very productive. I believe he had 7 tackles for loss, was still kind of questionable in coverage. However, he was a huge spark, and he was one of the better free agent signings that the Carolina Panthers had last year. Safety Nick Scott is an unrestricted free agent, and I personally don't predict the Carolina Panthers signing him back. Now, if you want to just say, hey, look, Nick Scott has another year under his belt, he didn't play halfway bad. I'm telling Panthers fans now, if you go back and actually look at it, Nick Scott did not play terrible for the Carolina Panthers last year. But with that being said, I do believe that there is room to grow. And I do believe that the Carolina Panthers, on the defensive side of the football specifically, must upgrade certain positions. And the safety position is one of those. Cam Curl is a guy I really like. He's a guy that covers a little bit better than Nick Scott. When you look at what he was able to do last year, statistically, 87 total tackles, 2 interceptions, only 45 receptions allowed. That ranks 6th amongst 98 graded strong safeties per PFF. Now, I will say Cam Curl is a guy that earned himself some money this past season. I would say that I predict him making anywhere between $10 to $12 million a year. Now, with the Carolina Panthers having Trevon Moehrig and the money tied up in him, also the draft capital that they invested in rookie Lathan Ransom, he didn't have a terrible season, but again, I'm looking to upgrade. I'm looking to get better. I'm looking to bring in guys that make you an instant Super Bowl contender. Cam Curl, for me personally, is one of those guys. And I'll be honest, just to go a step further with Cam Curl, I personally like his versatility. We saw what defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero was able to do with a versatile safety like a Trevon Moehrig, a guy that you can have playing over the top or walk him down into the box if necessary. Now, a lot of people will kind of get scared off of the idea of Cam Curl because I will say the versatility is very similar to Trevon Moehrig, but I'm under the belief that if you can have 2 very, very extremely versatile safeties, that gives you the ability to do a lot more with your coverages, a lot more with how you load up the box, different 3 safety looks if you want to include Lathan Ransom in that as well. So I just think that this is a guy that immediately makes an impact on this Carolina Panthers team, immediately makes them better. And for whatever it's worth, I think that you may be able to get him on a relatively financially feasible deal. That being said, I'm 100% confident that we can make a guy like a Cam Curl work if that's the direction in which the Carolina Panthers decided to go. The next guy on this list is going to be linebacker Matt Milano from the Buffalo Bills. Now, a lot of people will get scared off of that name just because of the injury history or the age. He doesn't necessarily fit that youth movement that the Carolina Panthers have kind of bought into and established over the past 2 or 3 years. However, I will say I believe that there is genuine value in having a veteran presence in that linebacker room beside Trevin Wallace. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of guys that I've been looking at in the draft process. This is an extremely deep linebacker draft class. So I will say, if the Carolina Panthers do not address this need over the free agency period, I don't believe that it's going to be alarming. I don't think that it's anything that Carolina Panthers fans should be worried about, because I do know that Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, and Brent Tillis, all three are very much aware that the Carolina Panthers do have a linebacker issue. With Matt Milano, this is a guy that I believe you're going to be able to bring in on a very, 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 very team-friendly deal. He took a significant pay cut last year with the Buffalo Bills due to injury, but when given opportunities this season, he played at a high level. Now, I'm not out here saying that Matt Milano is the best linebacker in the NFL by any stretch of the imagination, but I do believe that there is something to be said about a veteran, productive linebacker that can cover halfway decently. I'll be honest with you, with the injuries, I trust Matt Milano in coverage more than I do Christian Roseboom. On top of that, the missed tackle percentage is not as high with a Matt Milano as it has been in the past. When you look at a Christian Roseboom, Trevin Wallace, even Josie Jewell 2 years ago, this has been a significant problem for the Carolina Panthers over the last 2 or 3 years. The linebackers have been an issue, and this is something that we are not used to in Charlotte. One of the strongest points of the Carolina Panthers over the last 25 to 30 years has been the linebacker room. So this is uncharted territory, I'd say, for the Carolina Panthers and their fan base, because we're just used to having absolute dogs and demons at the linebacker position. Matt Milano, again, not going to jump off the film to you, not really going to do anything crazy, but he is serviceable, and I do believe that he is an upgrade off of what you've had over the past 2 years. And again, there's more intangibles there as it pertains to his veteran presence when you have a younger guy like Trevin Wallace that you're trying to develop and trying to see that next step. So I'm the type guy, yes, I acknowledge the youth movement that the Carolina Panthers are trying to have and the youth movement that they've embraced. However, you need veteran presence when you're talking about potentially competing for a Super Bowl. It's just something that you have to have in the locker room. Matt Milano fits that box. Now, if you made it to this point of the video and you're new here and you like the video so far, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell notification on so you're aware when I upload, as well as for Panthers fans only, the podcast, etc., etc. Again, welcome if you are new. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. The third name that we're going to go over today is linebacker Devin Lloyd from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, if you're a football fan like myself, you are very much aware of what the Jacksonville Jaguars were able to do this season. Now, obviously, it didn't end as planned for that team. However, if you were tuning in to Jazz games and you did have the opportunity to see them play a time or two, Devin Lloyd is by far one of the biggest pieces for this team that jumped off the film for me personally. He is exactly what this Carolina Panthers team needs, not only just in the linebacker room, but just overall. He fits the youth movement. He's extremely productive. He can cover. He can tackle. Devin Lloyd is, in my opinion, one of the best up-and-coming linebackers in the NFL. Again, like I mentioned, he is coming off of a career year with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but up to this point, for whatever reason, the Jacksonville Jaguars have not initiated contract discussions with Devin Lloyd. So as far as I'm concerned, right now, he's an unrestricted free agent, and there's nothing that separates the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Carolina Panthers or any other team in the NFL for that matter. So why not throw your hat in the ring? Now, when you look at what Devin Lloyd brought to the table this past season, again, like I mentioned, career year for him, 81 total tackles, a sack and a half, but the key for me personally is the 5 interception piece. If you go back and look at some of the games that the Carolina Panthers won that some experts as well as betting junkies, etc., didn't have the Carolina Panthers competing in, let alone winning, it stemmed from turnovers. Devin Lloyd is a guy that has the ability to force turnovers, and he is a guy, again, that can cover at a high level. If we go back and look at this Carolina Panthers team, what we were able to do or what hurt us the most this past season defensively, obviously there's a long list that you can make out, but one of the main pieces is the inability to cover tight ends and running backs. Two things that Devin Lloyd does at an extremely, extremely high level. If Devin Lloyd were to come into this Carolina Panthers team right this second, I believe we instantly go from a middle tier defense to a top 10 defense in the NFL. That's how much I have this guy valued, and that's how strongly I feel the Carolina Panthers should pursue Devin Lloyd in March when the free agency window opens up. This is a guy that has a year or two on Trevin Wallace that may be able to still give him pointers and that veteran voice that Trevin Wallace needs, but they can also still grow together. If you're looking at potentially bringing in a Devin Lloyd, we're talking a 3, 4, maybe even 5-year deal, because transparently, this is not a guy that you only want to bring in for a year or two and let him walk after that. I believe that Devin Lloyd could be a staple, a cornerstone in this defense. And if the Carolina Panthers are able to acquire him, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, they instantly become a Super Bowl contender. Now, the fourth name on my list is going to turn a lot of you guys off. I'm just here to be 100% honest. Once I say this name, a lot of you guys are going to stop watching. If you are new here and you subscribe, you may unsubscribe, whatever the case may be. But just bear with me. The fourth name on my list is Dante Fowler Jr. This is not a guy that is the most sexy name on the market as it pertains to pass rushers. He's not going to be a guy that can play 3 or 4 downs for you in every defensive possession. However, in my opinion, he is what the Carolina Panthers need. He fits the mold. We saw the emergence of Nick Scorton this season with him being able to accumulate 5.5 sacks. A lot of people are also forgetting that Patrick Jones was extremely productive before he went down for the Carolina Panthers, and he does have another year on his contract with the team. You bring in a guy like a Dante Fowler Jr., a pass rush specialist, and you add depth. That's one of the biggest things that the Carolina Panthers have struggled with over the past few years, is the lack of depth. Dante Fowler Jr. is a guy that you can add into that pass rush rotation, and he's going to win. Now, I understand Dante Fowler Jr. last year for the Dallas Cowboys was not the most productive. 10 total tackles, only 3 sacks. So when you look at those numbers, you may be asking, JJ, well, why would you even bring that name up when you know that the Carolina Panthers are in dire need for a pass rusher? Well, for me personally, it's just because of what he brings from a skill set standpoint. And also, I would encourage you just to take a step back, because even though he only had 3 sacks with the Dallas Cowboys last year, the year prior, he had 10.5 sacks for a top-tier Washington Commanders defense. So it's not like this guy just lost his ability to rush the passer. No, I believe that Dante Fowler Jr. went into a very, very unique situation with the Dallas Cowboys this past offseason, and unfortunately, it just didn't play out the best for his stats holistically. That actually may be beneficial for the Carolina Panthers, because this is a guy from a skill set standpoint is an upper-tier pass rusher. Now, again, he's not a game breaker. He's not one that's going to just completely dominate a game, but he is serviceable, and it's a name that's realistic. It's a name that the Carolina Panthers would not have to spend a lot of money on. And yet again, like I mentioned earlier, I believe in veteran presence in the locker room. You have a guy like Nick Scorton. You have a guy like Princely, right? 2 younger guys that you are hoping will develop into elite pass rushers, or at the very least, 2 top-tier starting edge rushers. And at this very point in time, there's nobody in that room that I can really see those 2 guys learning from. Dante Fowler, again, checks that box, as well as just being productive enough to give him a 1, maybe even a 2-year deal. Again, do not be jaded by the stats that he put up this past season with the Dallas Cowboys. I'd encourage you to just go look at what he was able to do for the Commanders just 2 short years ago. Now, this last name I have been saving because I know a lot of you guys have this name on y'all's mind, and I promise there was at no point where I considered not mentioning this guy's name, because transparently, how couldn't you? The 5th name on my list is edge rusher Trey Hendrickson. We know how sloppy and messy that situation with the Cincinnati Bengals was last year, but transparently, organizationally, this is who the Cincinnati Bengals are. Trey Hendrickson will not be a Cincinnati Bengal next year. He will hit the free agent market. Now, the thing with Trey Hendrickson that I need everybody to understand is based on where the Carolina Panthers are from a cap standpoint. If you were to go out and get a guy like Trey Hendrickson, there's a possibility that you may only sign 1 or 2 additional pieces to go along with Trey Hendrickson this free agency, because that is the type of payday he's going to demand from the Carolina Panthers. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this guy and you're just a box score watcher, or you're just instantly going to his stats, last year is not a good tell for what type of player this guy is. Only had 4 sacks in 2025, but if you look at the 2 seasons prior, he had 17.5 sacks in both seasons. That, my friends, is exactly what the Carolina Panthers need. If you take a look at what has happened in the last 2 Super Bowls, it's been utter domination from the winning team. This year with the Seattle Seahawks, last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. What made those 2 teams stand out? What made the performances so dominating and so gruesome, if you were on the other end of it, was the ability for those teams to win with 3 or 4 pass rushers consistently. That is the key. That is what the Carolina Panthers need. The Carolina Panthers need a guy that hops off the film, that dominates at the point of attack, has a pass rush bag, and that gets after the quarterback. Trey Hendrickson is the guy that you're looking for if you're the Carolina Panthers in dire need of an elite pass rush option. Again, I opened up this video saying that these 5 names would make the Carolina Panthers Super Bowl contenders. Trey Hendrickson can do it on his own. I'm telling y'all right now, he's a dog, he's a stud, and if you're unfamiliar with him and his game, I'd highly encourage you just to go check out 2 or 3 games from the 23 or 24 season, and you'll see why the hype around this guy is as much as it is. Re-emphasizing my previous point, he is a guy that's gonna cost a significant amount of money. I'd say anywhere between $32 to $36 million Trey Hendrickson will receive from whatever team he decides to go to. If I'm the Carolina Panthers again, and I'm looking at the last 2 Super Bowls, and I'm looking at what these fronts were able to do with only sending 3 or 4 guys on a rush, I am definitely calling Trey Hendrickson's representation, because I need to know what it's going to take for me to get a guy like that in my building. We haven't had a legitimate, consistent pass rush in quite some time. Trey Hendrickson is a guy, is a name that would instantly fix that for the Carolina Panthers, and once again would make them an elite defense and would instantly jolt them up to the top of the NFC, in my opinion. Now, at the beginning of the video, I promised you guys I would give y'all my priority list with the names that I've given. Number 1, I'd say Devin Lloyd. I, as a Carolina Panthers fan, cringe every time I see bad linebacker play from this organization, because I know what our defenses have been built on in the past. Devin Lloyd instantly fixes that for your defense. He instantly is a spark. He instantly becomes your captain on that side of the football, and he is exactly what you should be looking for in a modern NFL linebacker. Devin Lloyd would most definitely be number 1 priority for JJ if I was the GM of the Carolina Panthers. Secondly, I'd say Cam Curl. Now, a lot of you guys would probably lean more towards Hendrickson. However, if the Carolina Panthers are not able to land Trey Hendrickson, then Cam Curl has to be your guy. You need more versatility on that back end, and you need a guy that can come in and cover. A lot of the scheme that we run relies on your pass rushers and your secondary doing their job at an elite level. And when you don't necessarily have an edge rusher or a pass rusher that can take the top off of a defense, and you don't really have much money to spend, you have to invest a little more money in the secondary. I believe Cam Curl for the Carolina Panthers would be the second priority. Now comes Trey Hendrickson. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to put this guy higher, no question about it, but I think that the Carolina Panthers love leaning into this youth movement idea. I also think that the Carolina Panthers are going to be okay with rolling out a Nick Scorton alongside of Patrick Jones, with Princely kind of being that third down must-pass situation style edge rusher. However, with that being said, a lot of us don't necessarily like that. I'm one of the people that I don't necessarily know if that thought process is going to get the job done. Now, GM Dan Morgan has said a thing or two about the edge rusher room, about feeling as though we need another one. That doesn't really indicate to me that this team, at the point in which it's at, is willing to jump out the window for a guy like a Trey Hendrickson and spend that $30 to $36 million that I believe it's going to take to bring him into the building. Outside of that, if they do decide to bring Trey Hendrickson in, I will be ordering my jersey as soon as the news is announced. And obviously, to wrap up my priority list, we'll round things off with Matt Milano at 4. And those are the 5 names that instantly turn the Carolina Panthers into Super Bowl contenders. If you like this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share it with a friend, comment, do all of those things, man. The interaction, we love the interaction. We'll definitely go back and forth and have conversations with you guys in the YouTube comments. So again, if you like the video, make sure to show some support, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thank you again for tuning in. Peace.